All right, so our next speaker is Mr. Samuel Knickerbocker. Sam's a great, great husband, a great father of these two individuals right here, Charlie and Declan. Great family. And Sam is giving the, is it your second speech then, because you've already done the icebreaker?
No, I'm doing an icebreaker for dynamic leadership.
Oh, got it, okay. So he's doing his icebreaker speech, which is a,
Pathway through.
is that a 4 to 6 minute speech?
Yeah, 4 to 6.
4 to 6 minute speech. And does it have a title?
No, I didn't.
Called Really Good Leadership. Sam Knickerbocker.
If you've ever said to yourself, that doesn't make sense to me, that's a waste of my time, I don't want to, and you can't make me, then you may identify with myself as a questioner. So what is a questioner, and why is that important or valuable in each of your lives? There's a book, it's called The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. She's broken all of society up into 4 core groups. You might think, that doesn't make sense to me. How could you really do that? If that's your initial response, then you're a questioner. Fantastic. You identify with me. Essentially, this book is tracking one thing, possibly 2. It's all about expectation. It's not about personality. It's not about enjoyment. It's all about expectation, inner and outer expectations. To illustrate this, I will share a small story to begin. When I was young, probably 8 years old, my dad got transferred to Idaho, so we had to move up to Idaho. During this packing process, we used banana boxes. If you've ever used banana boxes to pack, you know that inside of a banana box there's a little cardboard piece that kind of folds. Now the bottom of the cardboard piece is perforated with a bunch of little tiny holes. And then the 2 wings, as I would call them, usually fold over. Well, we would cut the 2 wings off, we'd put the piece with holes in it on the bottom, and then once we were done packing, we'd put the 2 other leaves on top, keeping unwanted things out of the banana box during moving. They were all in a stack in the corner. My mom, she had given me an order: go get 1 with holes and 2 without any holes. So I go over, I'm looking through them. Where are you? Come back. Here's 1 with holes, but Mom, there are none without any holes. Yes, there are. So then I go back. I'm like, there's none without any holes. Come back. There's none without any holes. So she goes over there. She really meant 2 with less holes and 1 with more holes. Right? But for me, this doesn't make any sense because I'm a questioner. I need clarity. I need exactness to understand things. Now, this shows up sometimes depending on what your goals are. So I'm going to run through these just very briefly. A questioner questions everything. They don't take anything at surface level. They need absolute clarity to proceed, and they are absolutely committed to their inner expectations. If it doesn't match their inner expectations, I don't want to, and you can't make me. So how do you get a questioner to do something? You explain to them in a way that they understand how it should be one of their expectations, and then they will fulfill it. An obliger, this is my dear wife Charlie, she is absolutely committed to fulfilling outward expectations, things others expect of her, but rarely ever accomplishes their own goals because they're too busy accomplishing other people's goals. And it sometimes gets annoying for them. They get mad at themselves, and eventually, you'll notice they're overlapping rebel. They go through what's called obliger rebellion, and they start to rebel against everything. I'm not doing anything anymore because I haven't done anything for myself, yet they still never accomplishing anything for themselves. A rebel, essentially, they just won't do it because they were instructed to do it. Even if it's something they wanted to accomplish, they say no just because you followed up with them, because you invited them to continue. An upholder is a little bit different. They're very good at keeping their own expectations, but they're willing to oblige anytime it doesn't conflict with their own inner expectations. After reading the book, it's fairly easy to self-identify which you fall into. I have a small issue. I'm a questioner, leaning towards rebel. My mentor, he coaches and mentors a lot like a football coach, which is fine for certain people. My issue is I grew up with a mom who was fairly abusive and dictator style of parenting. And so I would like to do what my mentor asked me to do. I would like to have his knowledge and act on what he's inviting me to do. The issue is the communication breakdown. If he's communicating to me from past experience, I have to rebel. I will not do it because he invited me to do it that way. I finally read this book about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and it changed my life. I went down, called him Sunday morning. I was like, we need to sit down and have a chat because you need to understand how I communicate. Sat down, explained to him, hey, when I'm questioning everything you're saying, it's not because I don't want to do it. It's because I just need clarification. And with that clarification, I'm totally willing to act. Now, everybody has a different hierarchy of values in this, so just to finish this up, I was able to move past my rebellion. But what about Weston, who's also a questioner? What's the value system here? Some people value being of service, being a go-to person, doing those things. And so they will show up as an obliger, even though they're really a questioner. It's just they're committed to their inner expectation of serving others. For me, I have no inner expectation of serving others other than myself generally, which may be bad. It is bad sometimes. I'm grateful I'm married to an obliger who's willing to serve others. But it's something that I can understand about myself and then explain to my mentor, hey, I've got a hierarchy of values. I don't like contention at all. If something becomes contentious, I will just oblige because I don't want to contend. But I will question you up until you're starting to get red in the face, and then I'll just go do it. Which is maybe even more frustrating. But it works for me to help understand why I'm doing things and how I can best communicate with others. And it's helped me a lot in coaching others because identifying how they need to receive communication can then help everybody in the group rise to a higher level. Thank you.